Hello, welcome back dear students. In today's class, we are going to take up a new chapter, chapter number 9, soil. This is a very interesting chapter as we know what is soil and what is the value of soil. Today, we are going to discuss about what is soil, what are the different components present in it, and what are the different types of soil, how the soil got affected. So these things we are going to study in today's class. So first, let us take up a topic, soil profile. Soil profile is the vertical section of different layers of soils that we see when we dig the soil inside. The soil profile is made up of 4 different layers which are known as horizon. The first one is known as A horizon. This A horizon is also known by another name, topsoil. This A horizon is the most fertile layer of the soil that we observe in the soil profile. This A horizon is mainly composed of organic substance known as humus. Humus is obtained when the dead remains of the living organisms got decomposed. Presence of this humus makes the soil richer in nutrients and helps in making the soil fertile. The second layer is known as the B horizon. This B horizon is also known as subsoil. The color of this B horizon is little lighter than the A horizon because it doesn't contain this humus. The next layer is known as the C horizon. The C horizon composed mainly of big sized rock particles, and the last layer is known as the bedrock. So when we observe these 4 different layers of the soil profile, we come to know that the living organisms or the growth of the plant is supported in the A horizon, while in the down horizon, the growth of the plant is not supported. So now let us see the different types of soils depending upon the size of the particles that is present in the type of soil. When we consider the size of the particles of the soil, we can divide the soil into 3 different types. The first one is known as the sandy soil. This sandy soil is the type of soil which is made up of big sized particles of the soil. Because of the presence of these big sized particles, there is presence of large gap in between the particles. Due to that reason, this sandy soil contains huge amount of air in it. It doesn't contain any amount of humus. Because of the presence of this large space between the soil particles, when water falls on the surface, the water used to easily drift down through these particles. Because of that reason, this type of soil doesn't have that good quality of water holding ability. Now, let us come to the loamy soil. Loamy soil is the type of soil which contains a mixture of both large and small sized particles. Because of that reason, some of the space between the soil particles are filled with the small sized soil particles. Due to that reason, this type of soil contains sufficient amount of air as well as sufficient amount of water, and it helps in the growth of the plant better than as compared to the other types of soil. The last one is known as the clay soil. Clay soil is the type of soil which is made up of small sized soil particles. Because of this reason, there is presence of less amount of space between the particles. Due to that reason, it doesn't allow large amount of air to fill in between them. So it used to contain less amount of air. But the water holding ability is the maximum in such type of soil. It is because there is presence of small gap and the water which falls on the surface used to get captured in between that particles of the soil and remains in it without drifting down through them. So, when we consider about the presence of air and water in these 3 different types of soil, loamy soil can hold both air and water. And this air and water in the soil is very important for the growth of the plant. Due to that reason, we used to say that loamy soil is the most fertile soil and suitable for the growth of the plant. The next topic for today's class is weathering. Weathering is a slow process of breaking down the big sized rock particles to form these small sized soil particles. The process of weathering is brought by different agents. The first one is the wind. The high-speed wind, when it hit on the rock surface, it used to erode or it used to break down the surface of the rock. Because of that reason, the bigger sized rock particles are slowly and slowly broken down into small sized soil particles, and it used to help in the formation of soil. The second one is the water. Like wind, the flowing water also sometimes used to carry bigger sized rock particles, which when hit on the other rock particles used to break down the surface of the rock. Due to that reason, it is broken down into small sized soil particles and helps in the formation of soil. The next factor is the frost. Frost actually, it is the frozen water that used to get collected on the surface of the soil particles. Because of the heating of the rock surface by the heat of the sunlight, there used to be development of crack on the surface of the rock. On this crack, when water used to get collected during the winter season, and when it got frozen, at the time it used to push the rock surface further apart, breaking down the surface of the rock and helps in the formation of soil. The last factor is the living organism. The living organism also used to help in the formation of the soil. The living organisms like lichen, one of a species of living organism, small organism, when they grow on the surface of this rock, it used to soften down the surface of the rock, which promote the growth of small plants. When the roots of the plants become bigger, at that time it used to break down the surface of the rock, and it used to help in the formation of soil. Now the next topic for today's class is the composition of the soil. When we see a sample of soil, we will be able to observe 5 main components. The first one is the air, which used to get collected in between the particles of the soil. Second one is the water. Third one is the minerals that are present in the particles of the soil. Fourth one is the organic waste. And the last one is the living organisms like earthworm and different other types of insects. Not only earthworm and different other types of insects, there are presence of different types of microorganisms which helps in the decomposition of the waste materials and also helps in loosening out of the soil. So these are the components of the soil when we see a sample of soil. Now let us come to the last topic of today's class, that is soil erosion. Soil erosion is the last topic for today. Soil erosion is the process of removing out the fertile topmost layer of the soil by wind, water and many other agents. When soil erosions occur, it used to reduce the fertility of the soil and also reduce the ability to grow the plants or the crops. Because of this reason, soil erosion is not good for us. Due to that reason, we have to prevent soil erosion and we should protect the original texture of the soil. So soil erosions can be prevented by using different means. Other ways, some of the most important ones are stopping deforestation. As we know, deforestation is the cutting down of the trees in a large scale. These trees, the roots of the trees hold the soil firmly and helps in preventing soil erosion. Because of that reason, we should stop cutting down the trees. The second one is afforestation. Afforestation is the replanting of the trees from where the trees are being cut off. So if we plant more trees at the time, the roots of the trees which are newly grown will be able to hold the soil firmly and it will help in preventing soil erosion. Some of the other preventions that can be taken up are growing cover crops. Cover crops are the types of crops which we generally grow on the field in order to protect the soil. So when we grow cover crop, the soil will not be barren. Because of that reason, the roots of the small crops will be able to hold the surface of the soil particles and helps in preventing soil erosion. It also helps in preventing the direct exposure of the soil to the different agents which causes soil erosion. Next one is terrace farming. Terrace farming is a type of agricultural practice which is performed at the side of the hill by making steps. These steps used to reduce the flow of the water, the speed of the flow of the water, and helps in preventing soil erosions. So these are some of the common prevention steps that can be taken up in order to prevent soil erosion. So up to this we discussed in today's class. In the next video class, we will take up a new chapter. So for today, let's wind up here. Thank you, dear students.